Dinner for shoes, please.
Hello, and welcome to an episode of Dinner for Shoes. We have a lot of new things going on right now. One is the sign, which I promised you. It looks backwards to me, or reversed in the camera. I'm really hoping that it's not like that when it's recorded, but like I'm not a camera person, I'm not a social media person, so I get confused with like all the flipping and everything. Also, we're gonna play around with it because Nick got this for me for my birthday. For Christmas, and I love it. And we tried to hang it up above me, but there's something with like the metal string that's not allowing it to get as taut as it needs to get. So we are working on that. But for now, I really like it by the couch. I think this is really pretty and cute. And I just don't know if it's going to affect the lighting and if producer Megan is going to yell at me. Also, the other new thing is that I'm wearing glasses because of the theme of today's episode. Of course, everything I wear is because of the theme's episode, but like, I'm feeling like between this and between this, there's gonna be a glare. So let's remove like one potential situation. Also, I don't need glasses anymore. These don't have a prescription. And they are very cool. They're very cool glasses, but I haven't worn glasses in so long because I got PRK surgery, which is like LASIK surgery. Anyway, so let's talk about the sign really quickly before I get into today's episode, because this is actually sick. Like, it is awesome. It comes with a little remote control. Nick got it. You can like change the brightness. Like, we're going to 40. No, we're not. Okay, wait, I can't go speed. I can go light. I can go, it's dead. No, why can't I do this? Mode, increase. I can only turn it on and off, which is like weird. I'm confused. Off, on. Okay, now the remote isn't even working. So I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned because I was going to turn it off just in case it ruined the whole visuals of this episode, but now I can't even turn it off. Why do I feel like the cats are fucking around back there and like did something to the plug and the outlet? Mode. Batteries are in. I just turned it on. You know what? I'm going to take this as a cue that it needs to be on. It needs to be on for this episode to be successful. So you'll be able to see the dinner for shoes. It may or may not be backwards. I'm not going to wear my glasses just in case. Cause glare. I also have like the ring light on me. So it's just, it becomes too much. Oh my God. That became too much. That became too much, girls. Settle down. Honestly, today is all about being a student in class. So you'd be kicked out. You would have detention. Today's episode is for all of you potential fashion students out there, or fashion students that just want to learn about my personal fashion schooling. I realized like I never talked about it. We did touch on it a little bit in the Get to Know Your Host episode, but I never talked about it. And I had the opportunity to interview Amy Sperber, who is a professor at FIT. So I was like, okay, let's make this episode all about fashion school. Let's get into it. I'll talk a little bit about my career as a fashion student and talk about just like my journey in New York City for anyone who doesn't know. And I'm going to do it by way of this book that's called On Becoming a Writer, a scrapbook by Sarah Wasilak. This, I believe, was a birthday present, or maybe it was a Christmas present. I really don't know. I get confused, clearly. But this thing is amazing. You're going to get to see inside. So we'll talk about that. And you're going to hear from Amy, who is fucking incredible. Let's start with the outfit behind the shoes. Then I'll explain a little bit more about Amy, and you can go listen to the interview. We'll break some bread by trying her favorite meal. Can't wait to describe it the way she described it. I have never had anyone describe their favorite meal as specific as she did, and I love her for it. We really hit it off. I feel like she is just like someone I would be friends with in real life, hence why I love doing this podcast so much. So, okay, let's talk about the outfit behind the shoes. Naturally, I was going to do a loafer just because we're students. These are by Steve Madden. I love them. I really like that they allow me to blend black and brown very easily. Again, all right, she's licking her leg, not her vagina, so that's good. And I love mixing colors easily. And I feel like these loafers allow for that because they have a brown lining on top of the platform here. These are not too high. They are casual because of that, I would say. I also really like just like the metal hardware on the front. And I decided to wear my Brahmin bag because I love this bag. It's Croc Effect. And it has a little flap in the back, which is cool because it's just like extra storage space. I've had this bag for a long time. It also comes with a crossbody strap. I prefer to hold it with the top handle just to emphasize the shape. And I think the reason why I chose it, actually, I know the reason why I chose it is because we're going to talk about like my full circle experience as a writer and a fashion student today. And we're going to talk about, you know, full circle in general. Like there's even a full circle story that Amy tells about how she worked with Marshall Columbia and now he's this big time designer. So full circle is kind of like the theme of today's episode. So I have my bag right here. I also feel like it kind of like, I love when a top handle bag gives lunchbox. Like it's giving lunchbox. It's giving the ham and cheese that my dad used to cut up for me in star shapes. It's giving that. It's giving when all of the other I already got the DoorDash. So who could this be now? It's like, what? But I'll let them in. Okay. It's giving, yeah. So when my dad used to like cut up all the cheese and ham shapes and I really like, you know, it was just like normal, like American cheese from ShopRite, but I really wanted the Baby Bell cheese that everyone else had. Ugh, it's giving that. Okay. It's also giving when this girl in preschool, Mariah, threw up all over her lunchbox and I was sitting directly across from her. I don't know. That's just a trauma that I hold on to when I think about lunch in school. Okay. So anyway, but we're talking about college. I don't know why I want to like get back to my really old days, but anyway, let's do the rest of the outfit. So these glasses that I talked about, they're actually really cool. These are the Andre by Warby Parker. So that's the shape. If you like the shape, this is them. If you look closely, they're color blocked. So they have black, they have a little bit of blue. I really love the color blue. And then tortoise. So I decided to accessorize with these tortoise hoops that I've had forever. Another way to easily blend black and brown. And my sweater is a gift from Nick's mom. This was a Christmas present. This is a cardigan set, comes with a scarf. It's not attached. Kins. They do incredible cashmere at a low price point and it can be washed. It's incredible. If you haven't heard of this brand, you have to check it out. I particularly love this set. The color is very me. I love an oversized little swingy cardigan. I love that like it's showing off the low rise waistband of my jeans, which are from Hollister. Let me tell you, Hollister sent me a bunch of jeans. By a bunch, I mean 3, because they have like a new like baggy line just to like get in with it, like to get in with the cool kids. And these fit me so well. Like I even think they look good on my butt. I need to, Megan, put in a little like sound effect that goes with me swaying my hips. Okay. Like I think they look good on my butt. I think that they're so comfortable. They're low rise. The only problem is I'm wearing them without underwear right now, which is too much information, but it's because Nick is on a call and I couldn't go get to my underwear drawer. Okay. So anyway, that's the outfit behind the shoes. And I just felt like I was going to put my hair in like a messy bun because I feel like that's super student. Like I need to get my work done vibes, but I have something coming later that will be student need to get your work done vibes. So little spoiler there. Yeah. And that's it. Oh, of course. I forgot. So I talked about the earrings, but I'm also wearing my Empower ring. Again, I've had this ring forever. It says Empower. Teachers empower students. And that was my ultimate takeaway from talking to Amy. A little bit about Amy. So Amy is a assistant professor at FIT. She went to FIT herself. So when it comes to all of the fashion schools that you have the choice from, LIM, Parsons, Central St. Martin's, which is a uni that's in London, so it's not even in the United States. So Amy went to FIT herself. She is the biggest fan of FIT. She's a multidisciplinary fashion designer, consultant, and educator. Something that's interesting about Amy is that she received a grant and she created this open source fashion avatar database. It's incredible. We're going to talk a little bit about it during our interview, but it's basically 3D development tools for designers. Anyone can use it. It's totally free. And she's created avatars from I think it's almost 80 different bodies. Regular, everyday body. So we talk a lot about body inclusivity in fashion during our conversation. We also talk about what she teaches her students. But anyway, if you want to check out her database, it's at fashionavatars.org. Really cool. The courses that she teaches at FIT are apparel design, soft silhouettes, apparel design studio, pattern making, which is still a very important part of being a designer, as she confirms, 3D garment visualization, and senior thesis sportswear design. She also creates, I can't believe I forgot to say this, but medical, like cool medical garments, because people who need medical garments don't want to be wearing that classic like blue hospital like or using that classic blue hospital like wearable or item that makes you feel othered. Like it's not the vibe. And Amy is incredible. And we're going to talk through all of that in our interview. You go ahead and listen to it so you can learn all about what they're doing at FIT. Amy also touches on how FIT is different than maybe Parsons or Central St. Martin's, and which would be best for you as a fashion student if you are thinking about where to go to school. And when we get back, we will open her meal and I will talk you through my career in fashion. And yeah, okay, enjoy.
So I am a many-year fashion designer who graduated from FIT, and I cut my teeth in the like pre-internet days at like Delia's, in that kind of like junior fashion world. I was at a lot of the mall brands, American Eagle Outfitters, The Gap, Juicy Couture. And after many years, I kind of felt compelled to go back and teach or be in a classroom, because I saw some of the issues in industry that I didn't think like one lady screaming about would change. And I was like, I think that this needs to happen at a much like sooner level, and it shouldn't be at this like higher up design director level, because it just didn't feel enough. So yeah.
That makes sense. I think it's very cool that you started with like those Y2K flavorful brands.
My students are obsessed with them. It is crazy to like look at mood boards that are all like juicy tracksuits.
Yup. And it is really cool because now you have like the firsthand history of those brands, and they've had a resurgence. So you're able to compare literally the way they used to be versus how they are now.
I love what my students do with the nostalgia for something they didn't go through, and how they like remix it and interpret it. And like they bring things together that I call were like frenemies back in the Y2K area that would have never hung together. And they will dress head to toe in a complete remix that, I don't know, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited by it.
Me too. I think it's all very cool. But so for some people who are not familiar with what it would actually be like to go to FIT, do you think that there are any misconceptions that people have about what it's like to go to fashion school in New York City?
Oh my God, so many. It is a very glamorous, it sounds like a very glamorous title, right? But a design education is very, very hands-on. It's practical. There's a little bit of business acumen. There's creativity. It's a whole umbrella of skills that we kind of build your toolkit so that you can go out into the world. And I always say, like, sometimes we'll be in these draping classes and the kids will be like frustrated. I'm like, this isn't the job unless you make this the job. But what's really important is that you take away an understanding of what we're doing here so that you can communicate it. Right? This is I like to use the word Rolodex, even though they don't know what that is. But I'm like, this is your like reference library.
Right.
You can dig back into it, details and, construction methods that, will stay with you for your entire life.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Do you think that there are like some specific courses right now that are super inspiring that maybe not a lot of people know about that are going on? Maybe it's like a new course that just popped up, or just other resources that FIT offers that like other schools do not.
I mean, I am the biggest stan of our library. I have to be honest. It is a hidden gem. The opportunities that FIT has for our students are unparalleled. We have special collections in both like paper things like magazines and print and newspapers. We also have a study collection of garments. Like I will take a class to like open up the inside of a Balenciaga garment that Cristobal's studio had themselves sewn. So like FIT is just in that sense. It's so special. People don't even, you can't see it from the outside. You know, it's one of those like special little jewel box opportunities. Once you get in there, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's really cool. I follow a few brands and companies that do that. Like they take apart like the it bags and the it items and they show like how it's made. Yeah. I think that's so interesting. And I also think it's cool that like it's so much more hands-on than what you even probably imagine when you think of fashion school.
Yeah,
you know?
No, I think a lot of kids think styling.
Yeah.
Right? They think of a fashion designer as like styling an outfit, and a lot of them don't realize it's sewing, it's draping, it's pattern making, it's sketching. It is math.
Yeah.
Know?
Yeah. Do you think that there's any mistakes that students make when they first come to FIT where maybe they're not sure like what it is they want to do yet? Do you think they get distracted at all? What advice would you have when you see students making those mistakes?
The fear is from making mistakes. I see that a lot. They're like afraid to like not do something perfect or not, you know, you're learning how to take what's in your head and execute it. And a lot of them, you know, they're developing that skill, and the fear of like mistakes I'm always like, make your mistakes here. You will not get fired in my classroom if it doesn't turn out the way you expected. I'd rather that we went on this journey together and we like tried to get it out of you and then understood maybe where we could improve. But yeah, the fear of mistakes, and I feel like it's a generational thing, you know?
Yeah.
There's that like the perfect attendance mindset, like.
Yup. Now, okay, I'm going to like use myself as an example because so I ended up going to NYU and I studied fashion journalism, but growing up, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do like the fashion designer thing. Like I took, you know, a clothing making class back in high school, like all the home ec. I was like, maybe I want to do this. But obviously, once I chose to go like the journalism route, that is the skill set that I developed. So I still think like, what if I, you know, started over and wanted to do the fashion design thing? What skill set would you say that someone who wants to get into fashion design or fashion school should have? What's like the bare minimum foundation?
Open mind, like be willing to learn, right? And then we always talk about when someone's applying that we need a little fluency in understanding what sewing is. We need a little fluency in sketching. Just like, you know, it can't be so foreign that you get in the room and like freeze up.
Yeah.
Because from day one of your education, we put you in front of a machine or a dress form or a live model or a fabric lab, right? There's no easing into it. It's like a go from day one. So just having an open mind and like just that little, you know, my best students are the like kids that are obsessed with fashion. They might be horrible sewers, but we could sit all day and talk about like a runway show from 1992 that's like super obscure because they just love being in that space.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so what do you think stands out on like a resume or in the application process?
I mean, when we do like open houses, I always say this, we have a rubric and you're graded on how well you follow directions, because a lot of what we teach are, you know, it's a trade school. Like if we want to have brass tacks. So we're going to teach you things. We're like, you're going to start here. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to eliminate this. You're going to bring this together. So if you can't in the application demonstrate a strong ability to follow directions, which seems so simple, but You would be surprised. Like I see these portfolios that are like the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And then I go to grade following directions and they have to get a 0. And then they are rejected from the program because it is too big a skill for us. Mm-hmm. You know, like a behavior that your success or failure really depends on that ability.
That's so interesting. And I feel like people like definitely think of FIT as this really prestigious fashion school that it would be so hard to get into, maybe like a dream, especially for someone who, you know, I grew up in New Jersey, so I wasn't far from the city, but someone who maybe lives in a different country. Why do you think that FIT has like gotten this reputation? And do you think that it stayed the same through the years? Or do you think that people see FIT as different than they used to maybe?
I mean, we are rigorous in our curriculum. All the majors are very rigorous. I think I like to say we've earned our seat at the table. Like we work really hard to maintain relevancy, to keep our students up to date, to, you know, evolve. I mean, what other? It's funny. We only want to look for good news about ourselves as an institution. So, like, as far as I know, we're like the first or second ranked fashion institution in the United States.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
I'm very Pollyanna about the school, like a super cheerleader.
That's great, though.
I went there. I did high school classes there. My story is really one of like a typical FIT student, born in the tri-state area, New Jersey as well, commuted in, did Saturday Live classes, did my BFA, got a job right out of school, commuted to that job, like became part of this industry that we always talk about in the classroom. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something to say for a student who, knows what they want to do that early on, and you made the effort. Like, you did commute in, you went to the high school classes, Yeah.
Passionate about it.
Exactly. That is probably one of the biggest consistencies between the professors and the students there, is that passion. Like you said, you can sit and have a conversation about a collection for hours,
Totally. I love clothes. I love clothes. I love storytelling. I love details.
Yeah.
That's
I was going to say that we didn't really have like finals necessarily when we graduated, but I kind of created my own study program, and we had to go in and we had to like give this presentation basically at the end. And mine was all about like the stories that come from fashion and the clothes that we wear and how long we've owned them for. And like, that's my passion too. So I love that. Yeah. Now, is there any designer who has come out of FIT? It could be multiple designers if you want, or maybe just like public figures in the fashion world who you would dream of teaching, and like, what would you say to them if they were sitting in your classroom right now?
I mean, I am notorious every thesis begging the administration to bring me Norma Kamali, because she is an icon, FIT graduate, absolute icon. She comes and does a lot of talks, and I will like make the class drop everything. I'm like, we're going to go see the legend herself. Norma is like doing a presentation. I just think she is phenomenal and timeless. And, there's a lot to learn from listening and, like looking at her history of design. It's fabulous.
Yeah. It's really incredible what she has done with fabric and how she has created pieces that like will always be classic, no matter the trends, It's amazing.
She looks fabulous. Like, I don't know. We could go. Norma is like, I don't know. They're like, all right, Amy, Norma's not coming. She's already agreed to like be the speaker of a conference. She'll be in the building. She's not going to be in the classroom.
I love that. So for someone who comes in and they, they're a student and they really want to, get their foot in the door. Does FIT offer any networking? Is there anything where they like hook up the students with their first internship? How does FIT prepare students for like actually then going out in the real world after they graduate?
Yeah, it is one of the cornerstones of our curriculum. They have to do an internship. So they are required to even get our degree to go out into industry and work. I think it's like something like 80 hours. It's a semester. So they have to go out into the industry and work and get real industry experience. We bring industry in nonstop. So they're constantly interacting. And, I always like to say, like, these are your coworkers in the classroom. Like, this is probably going to be the person who's going to get you your second or third or fourth job, and you don't even realize it now. But this is your network. And then I'm always like, go down the hall and find a photographer kid to shoot the thesis look, or go talk to the FBM girls if you guys want to start a business, because Lord knows us designers sometimes aren't the best, the best business people. I'm like, your network is here. Your whole brand is here in this building. You just have to make the effort to kind of find your people.
Yeah.
For sure.
How have you seen, this is, obviously recently AI, all this 3D technology that's come into play, it's changing the curriculum, I assume. What's been like the biggest shift that you've noticed as a professor, or ways you've had to adapt, I guess, to teach?
So I am an early adopter. It's why they brought me in. I was brought in to teach innovation and sustainability and kind of bring into our department a new lens of design based on some of the work I've done previously. But I have been playing a lot with AI. It's not there yet. Like, I always like to tell people, like, it's close, but it's not there. I'll sit in rooms with developers who are trying to develop AI fashion software, and I'll be like, I have so many ideas. My students have so many ideas. We don't want your ideas.
Yeah.
We want you to be able to give us like photoreal versions of our ideas. But the disconnect right now is they all think that their language models are programmed so well. And I'm like the worst person in the meeting to be like, your LLM is like bad. It's really bad. And I'm like, it doesn't understand our language of fashion. It doesn't understand our details. We speak in a way about things that maybe the common customer isn't aware of, but it's our language when we talk about plackets and buttonholes and, you know, certain collars that have multiple parts. I'm like, you can't adapt to that. And until you can't be part of our workflow.
Yeah.
So we are trying. It's not there yet. It's really not. Like, when it is, it's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It will be game-changing. I believe from a sustainability standpoint, the amount of things that will not get developed because we will be able to see them so fast, I think is like, you know, that's when pivots are going to start to happen. We really are hopefully only going to make what we need, how we need it, for the body types that need them.
Yeah, that is going to be the biggest, and I really hope that it, you know, it affects fashion in a really beneficial way long term that way. But I agree with you that, like, from my profession as a writer, like, AI feels it's just not there yet. It's not describing like fashion or clothing the way we can, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But with all of these like technological advancements, how important is like pattern making and all of the, you know, sketching? Is that still, it is? Okay.
Yeah, most. Because like one of the AI tools that I use in one of my courses is a like sketch to like photoreal thing. And if the sketch is garbage, the photoreal, even though again, they're not there yet in terms of like really landing the details, but if the sketch is bad, the output is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Same with pattern making. We use CUTLET 3D, which I think is, again, this is the new way of visualizing clothes and like using less. If the pattern making skills aren't there, the system isn't going to like generate a beautiful dress.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't cut a beautiful dress, you're not going to see a beautiful dress.
Yeah.
So those foundational skills, I'm this like, I love craft. I love craftsmanship. I love making. Any chance I get, I tell my kids, I'm like, put me to work. Whose trim garment needs somebody to like sew or cut? Because that for me is a happy place. I love sitting in front of a sewing machine. But I definitely, my personal practice is a hybrid. It happens digitally and then it comes out of the system only when I'm like, okay, this is exactly what it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you are like the perfect person for that also because you've developed this like avatar database, right? Tell us about that because it's really neat. So explain what it is to someone who maybe doesn't know.
So thank you for hyping it up. It's like my little, you know, it's a gift to the world. It's free to use. It was early on when I was using 3D. And again, this database now is about 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
When I was in my early stages of using 3D, the avatars in system would be very systematically increase or decrease. So I tend to work on, you know, personally, I work on medical projects. I work on postmenopausal women, and their bodies were not showing up in these 3D systems. And I was like, oh, this is a white space, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a problem I can fix. I know how to 3D model. I know how to get the file formats to be able to then bring them into these systems to make clothes. And I applied for a grant from the New York State Council of the Arts, and they agreed that it was a good idea and it would benefit other creatives. And so that's how it came to be. It's 100 different bodies. And it's interesting because those are all bodies that I'd like seen on the bus or at FIT. About 50 of the FIT community let me photograph them and like take measurements and notes, and they know who they are in the system, but everyone is kind of faceless and nameless, but those are all people.
Yeah.
Which I think is the most important thing. They're not random. There was one little database hiccup that I talk about when I'm like on panels and stuff is that when I had to do people of stature,
mm-hmm.
like smaller people or women that were like incredibly big,
mm-hmm.
the 3D modeling system that I was using had me use mods that were monster based, which I think speaks a lot about how, you know, society perceives other bodies, that it literally like categorized them as monsters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
So I mean, even now there's still so much work to do in that space, but I'm glad that the database is accessible, and it's spun off a couple things. A woman in California who was an ex like retired computer scientist was so inspired by it, but that she bought a body scanner and started scanning her clients so that she could have their bodies to do these like toiles that she was making. So it's done some good. It hasn't revolutionized the industry, but it's definitely,
it's a start. I think like anything that is going in that direction is really impressive and neat to look at. And like when I was scrolling through, I just thought it was so unique and awesome. And you also are designing medical garments now as well, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that work?
Sure. I mean, I always like to tell the students that like as fashion designers, I joke a little bit, like we get a little bit of the Legally Blonde like reputation, like it's scented and it's pink, right? But what we bring as like people that have aesthetic intelligence, which is what that is a whole nother level to things in that clinical space that I work with engineers that don't even see it. They can't see it. They're like, isn't this thing great? I'm like, it's scary. It's sensorily, it's uncomfortable. I'm like, if a woman, I do a lot of stuff with cancer. And I'm like, if a woman is going through breast cancer, she's already traumatized. And your device, while it may be helping, is hurting psychologically. Or there's no positive experience. And that's really what I bring to the table in that space. And it's definitely like another passion of mine to make healing, have a calm, have an aesthetic, have, not just be that turquoise blue that hospitals are known for.
Yeah. Absolutely. And from, I guess, a more general level, I know I ask other designers this or just other special guests that I have on, but like, how do you think that the fashion industry can just be more inclusive to those who are sick, those who have all different body types? What's like a good starting point if you could give advice to the designers out there? Because obviously, our progress is extremely slow. It's very frustrating too, especially to like someone on the outside, maybe like me, who isn't a designer, but I'm going to fashion week after fashion week and you're not seeing the progress. Like, where can you tell people to start?
I mean, just empathy. Like, just have empathy and like acknowledge that there's a world around you.
Yeah.
I think we get in this like fashion tunnel vision, and it's that 6 foot tall supermodel. And then suddenly we don't realize that there's a whole world around it that wears clothes too.
Yeah.
So empathy. And then I work with I bring disabled people into the classroom and we talk about it. It's not a dirty word. It's not something to be ashamed of. I mean, you can maybe feel sad for a minute, but like if this person is saying, I want to look fabulous, as a designer, that's the best problem in the world to have.
Exactly.
Solve it. Let's make you look fabulous.
Right. I like that. I really like that point of view. And I think it's great that you're rubbing off on your students in that way. So that's very nice. Yeah.
I try.
Let's get back to like just the whole student professor mentality. But let's talk for a second about, let's say like, I know that I want to be a fashion student. I know your team FIT, and so am I, just being a New Yorker, but there are also a lot of great fashion schools out there. I mean, there's Parsons in New York, there's like Central St. Martin's. How do you recommend someone like goes about choosing where they want to apply and where they want to go?
Yeah, I mean, clearly Parsons is a private institution and has its renowned, graduates, of course, and we cannot deny that they are an important player in the game. Same with Central St. Martin's, although the English system is very different than what we do in New York. And then even between Parsons and FIT, what we do is very different. FIT, its roots are in it being a trade school. We were started to help the garment industry have a never-ending supply of designers and sewers and pattern makers and merchandisers, and we kind of continue with that. It's always kind of in the back pocket. I do I'm going to give you a secret. Both schools, Parsons and FIT, we share a lot of faculty.
Okay.
I've taught at both institutions.
I didn't know that.
So if you come to FIT, you're gonna be in the room with some really big hitters in fashion illustration and pattern making. You're just not gonna pay the price tag,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then depending on what you want to do, like we really are going to give you your toolkit to go out, where Parsons toolkit is probably best said as it's a more conceptual experience.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you the resources to communicate with others to make, but it's not as a, you know, hard requirement as for us. Like you have to start from scratch for me, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, since you touched on it, like in your opinion, how important is investing in your fashion education to the success that you may or may not see? Like someone who thinks, oh, maybe I could just get my foot in the industry in a different way. Maybe there's another route. Maybe I don't have to sit through school. How important is it, would you say, to make that investment?
I mean, I think the skills are really important. How you get them is, you know, to each individual.
Mm-hmm.
But the opportunity to network, like I said, those kids in your cohort are going to be your future network if you realize it or not. School does a lot more than just like teach. You know, it's an opportunity to get your social bearings. It's an opportunity to fail and succeed with money.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of opportunities that I think being in school goes beyond just, all right, I got the degree, I'm ready to go and work,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, there are alternative paths exist. People do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I deny it.
Yeah, totally. Do you have any, you've seen so many students come in and out, or even just other professors that you've like gotten, you know, the pleasure of working alongside, but do you have any like favorite success stories or memories of maybe like a time that you worked with a student and then you saw that student go on to succeed?
So many. I mean, my one favorite, well, I have a couple favorites, but I have a student named Marshall Columbia. He is fabulous. He was in one of my courses and he said, Professor, I need to go. I've been booked to go work on HBO. We are here, but I'll be missing 3 weeks of class. And I know the attendance policy. Do you think you will give me permission to go? And I said, absolutely, Marshall, but you will pay me back in another way. And we will figure that out, what that's going to be. But yes, I have to let you go and have this. How could I not? You know, you're going to be working with world-renowned drag queens. You're going to be on a giant television show.
Yeah.
Go. And then a few years later, he comes into my classroom and is my critic with my students. And he has a brand and he has shoe collabs. And he really did pay me back.
Yeah.
In that way. So like, yes, I want more of those. I want more Marshalls in my.
I love that. I love that you worked with him. That's such an awesome story. On a smaller scale, like maybe even advice for yourself. What advice would you give to like someone who is young and like sketching in their bedroom right now and just dreaming of becoming a fashion student? They're not even ready to apply to school yet, but what would you say?
Just like, read everything you can, watch those films, gather your references. It's really the ones that are so passionate do so well,
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep sketching, try it, fail up. It's what you learn every time. We like to say, I have a quote that like failure is feedback.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a loss, right? You're getting information from just trying.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I have, now I'm going to try to remember what it is, but Bex Gentry, she's like a Peloton instructor and I'm a runner. And she says like fail. She has first attempts in learning, she says. And so I always go with that. Yeah, but okay. You though, like someone who has been in the design space, you were at the Gap, at Juicy Couture. What is it about teaching to you that like makes you know you want to stay here now? Or maybe why did you make the shift in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt there was a need for a shift in the industry that I wasn't seeing as I was like escalating. Like there's so little you actually do in the director position other than managing people. And it was seeing a lack of like real fine digital skills, sustainability, thinking, a lot of it that drove me into education was this desire to kind of like change the skill set or like modernize the skill set a little bit in the thinking, but it is the best gig. I always tell my colleagues, it's the best gig in the world for me. Like I go to work and I sew a dress or I, watch somebody like understand the mathematics of pattern making and I can see light bulbs go off. it is joyful. It's a lovely and very have so much gratitude to be in that position.
Yeah, you are absolutely a teacher. You have that teacher. Both my parents are teachers.
I do a lot. Like, I will schlep out to material for the arts and fill an Uber with fabric and whatever material for the arts has that week and bring it in and give it to the students because I care that deeply about them having the tools to succeed.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's like, throwaway fabric, that changes. People don't realize, like, somebody handing you a roll of fabric has just maybe saved you $80. Actually will have that butterfly effect down the line, and a lot of people don't realize that. And I feel like that's, with my privilege, that's how I want to give back. I want to make sure that I can help my students and, shape the thinking.
It's also like little projects like that, like you said, like filling the Uber with all the material. Like, it's projects like that the students don't realize in the moment, but like maybe something that you said during that project, or like, they learned something, it's going to stick with them and they're going to remember it down the line. So I think that's really neat too.
Pay it forward. I'm going to give you fabric now. You guys mutual aid each other, help each other out, at 2 a.m. when somebody needs help putting in a zipper.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. My final question for you is just, what is it about the current generation of students that you are seeing at FIT right now, or your own students, that makes you know they are going to succeed? Like, if you had to name one or two different things.
They are incredible. Like, their moral compass, this is what we know, that I'm 50 and they're 20, is that their moral compass is so, like, on the path. Where mine was very like, all right, I want to live in New York City. I'll do whatever I need to do. I'm hungry to, to live outside of New Jersey. I will design for anybody. I don't care. Where these kids are like, I'm not going to work there. That's not that. They have human rights issues. They pollute. Like, we're going to be okay when this generation gets control. We just got to, like, get out of their way.
Yeah.
But I really, really believe that, they're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That answer just gave me the chills. I really hope and pray that as well. Okay. We are back. I hope that you enjoyed listening to Amy and learning all about FIT, how passionate she is as a teacher. I have two friends who are teachers, and they inspire me so much. Their dedication, their energy, and just how much they love to watch their students learn is what's so incredible to me. Where'd my fork go? Because I'm going to need that now. If anyone's watching Squid Games, season 2, forks are quite the tool in that show. I was watching it last night. Okay. So now I want to describe to you, before I make the reveal, of how Amy describes her favorite meal. Oh, I forgot to also mention that shoe therapy is going to be a part of this episode because we've had our first caller. Okay. We'll get there. So Amy said, goat cheese. Okay. That's your clue. Okay. So Amy's favorite meal. She says her favorite meal is a refreshing herb salad with fruit and goat cheese, complemented by a crispy chicken cutlet and paired with a classic martini. Now, I knew exactly where to go when it came to a crispy chicken cutlet that is good, and that is Chickies in Jersey City. I'm pretty sure we've already had their something. I forget what it was, but they have the best chicken cutlet ever. So I looked on the menu and I was like, oh, there's a salad here that actually has goat cheese, fried goat cheese, which just makes it better, of course, as everyone knows. And then there's fruit in it, of course, and there's pine nuts, which I love pine nuts. I was like, this salad is exactly what Amy would love with her martini. Now, you'll see I have a Red Bull here. It's a new type of Red Bull. The brand reached out to me to try it. It's made with monk fruit extract. It's just made with a little bit of healthier ingredients, but I was like, this is the time to try Red Bull. Not because I don't like martinis. I like tequila. I prefer tequila, but I am not doing dry January. Get out of the bag because it's making noise. I'm not doing dry January. I'm not even doing damp January. I'm doing drizzling January because most of I don't really drink during the week. I just don't go out during the week. I don't socialize, and I have my half gummy at night and whatever. But I do drink socially on the weekend, and I love it. Who doesn't? And you know, it lets you blow off steam. It's great. And Nick and I are trying this where we choose a week. Consider it a resolution, but I don't really consider it a resolution. It's just for health and feeling better. We choose a week or weekend where we don't like go out drinking, and we just use that as like our sober weekend and we, you know, spend it catching up on movies or even catching up on work, doing this shit. And so I don't want to make a martini today, but I did want to have my martini, my Red Bull student martini, in a martini glass. And if you are a college student in the US, you know you can't drink when you first start out. So actually it's really good. And I do like Red Bull. I do. And I'm curious about how this monk fruit Red Bull will taste. Obviously it'll be highly caffeinated, but I'm going to open this up so I can take, that looks fucking good. That looks fucking good. Okay. And let me take a picture of it. And I put my Warby Parker glasses here just to make it super chic. Oh my God. Forgot to put the shoes back on. Students, if there's one thing to remember, it's to always put your shoes back on. Okay. Trisha's like sitting here patiently. It's funny. Amazing. So cheers. Cheers to Amy. Cheers to teachers. Cheers to fashion students. That is really good. And it has, as described in the email to me, this vanilla back taste that's really special and unique. So I love it. Let's dive into this salad. I did already take 2 pieces of the chicken because the chicken was given separately from the salad, which, thank you, chickies. I love that. I hate it when things get like soggy, you know? Oh, look who's here. And the goat cheese is fried. Amy, like, I totally know what you mean. There's something about fruit, a little bit of cheese, nuts, if you can swing it, and a crispy chicken cutlet that's just amazing. Wow, guys. Wow. I didn't really get enough of the cheese. So I actually don't think this is goat cheese. I tried to look for goat cheese, but it's like a different type of cheese, but it is like a soft cheese that's fried. And I know a lot of salads like this do have fried goat cheese in them, so. I think this is one of my favorite meals too, Amy. Like, I am a salad person through and through. I love salads. Oh my God. Oh, that cheese is really sharp, which I like. Goat cheese is not that sharp, but different texture, really interesting. Oh, I love. Yeah. I'm messy. Fashion students are messy. Whatever. Let's talk about my history as a fashion student, and then we'll get into shoe therapy. So, this book is fucking insane. I did take pictures right before I started recording, just so I could like warm up to what I'm going to have to talk through. And I did take like a screenshot of my LinkedIn just so I could remember what some of my experiences were. But my mom started at the very beginning. So my handwriting was so bad, but I always wanted to be a writer. So even though I did have different fashion experiences, you know, just when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I was going to school at NYU, I kind of knew deep down that I wanted to, like, there are people who like to like be running around designing. Well, that was a thought. I mean, I took home ec in high school and I think my garment was the worst in the class. And I quickly realized like, this is not for me. Like I could never color between the lines, never mind sketch. So I think did you guys see that? That was rude. That was rude. She like could have comforted me in that moment, but chose not to. And so I just kind of always knew I wanted to write. And while the handwriting doesn't reflect that, as time went on, I'm just going to scroll through these parts that aren't as fashion focused in the beginning, but I started to gain recognition for my writing. I won a Panasonic contest on modern day heroes, and Mrs. Yasner, was it Mrs. Yasner who I wrote about? She was an incredible teacher, 4th grade. I love her so much. And yeah, so I was in the newspaper, and then we went to a celebration for it. It was in the Star Ledger, so that's really cool. And then in 5th grade, I won the DARE essay contest, and I got to read about the drug-free choice for me. Well, today I'm being drug-free, so it's literally so appropriate. I swear to God, if I had alcohol today, it would not be appropriate. So that's why, Amy, I'm not drinking classic martini today. I didn't have to drink in that moment, but I did anyway. But I just laugh when I see drug-free as the choice for me. I wish it was. I'm not saying that I'm a druggie. I'm just saying I enjoy drinking every once in a while. Imagine if that was the theme of the essay. I probably still would have won. Okay. And then I wrote this about wanting to go to NYU, my life in 20 years. It was probably around 5th grade. I won poetry contest. This was a poem called When No One Is Watching. And I won this contest where my poetry was featured both in Indiana University, Purdue University, and then Gannon University. And then this was my acceptance letter to NYU. And that's where I'll stop and just kind of talk about that a little bit. I applied early decision to NYU. There was no way I was getting in if I didn't apply early decision. I had a 3.68 GPA in high school. And I know everyone does GPAs differently, but mostly if you were getting accepted to NYU, your GPA was a 4.0. I did maintain a 4.0 once I got to NYU, but that's later. And I just knew I wanted to be in the city. I applied to Fordham. I applied to Columbia, which was such a stretch, such a reach. What would they call it? Your reach schools. And I got into the liberal studies program, which you were made fun of by the guy that I was in love with my freshman year. He would always make fun of me that I was in the liberal studies program. And that just meant that you're in, but it's conditionally. And you have to take these very specific courses before you can start studying what you actually want to study. And then you choose what school you want to go into, even though you have a track and a path to start. I always knew I wanted to do fashion journalism, and I fucking made that my concentration when I switched into Gallatin. Could have done the communications route, and sometimes I still wish I did, because I could have done some more video journalism and TV journalism and everything. But instead, I knew I wanted to sit on my butt and write. And yeah, like I said, NYU, the other thing is that my grandpa went there. So, I never would have gone in if I didn't apply early decision, and grandpa didn't go there. So Grandpa David, rest his soul. Anyway, though, I went, and then I knew right off the bat that I was interested in fashion. It was always a hobby for me, and that I wanted to be writing about it. And I didn't have any experiences, right? So I took it upon myself to apply for College Fashionista, and I started writing for them, which that allowed me to become the I've always been outgoing, but I easily approached people, because what you had to do as a writer for College Fashionista back then, College Fashionista still exists. It's an incredible concept. Launched by Amy Levin, who was a good friend of mine and still is. I mean, I still consider her a mentor to this day. But she launched it, and what you had to do was go walk around your campus, take pictures of students who went to NYU, ask them about their outfit, and then do a little write-up of it. And then I was like, this is fucking it for me. This is what I want to do. So College Fashionista really opened the door for me. A professor of mine had her own fashion blog called Fashion Pulse Daily. I wrote some runway reviews for her. Are you not interested in this? Are you not interested in this? Don't you want to go to fashion school? Oh my gosh. And that was when I was like, all right, this is it. This is what I want to do. Okay. So fast forward, I was obsessed with Nylon magazine, and I used to create insane poster boards for my room and everything with how obsessed I was with magazine cutouts. And in order to get my internship at Nylon, I actually hand wrote a letter to the digital team over there, and I showed them one of my big magazine cutouts with all of my favorite Nylon snippets, and I got it. And that was my first digital internship. I will say what came before that was a brief stint at Cosmopolitan, but I was in the fashion closet. So I was tracking samples, and I saw the digital interns who were sitting there writing stories while I was doing that. And I was just like, that is what I want to be doing. This butt wants to be sitting down. I was lugging garment bags all over the place. I'm a messy person to begin with. I was good at it because I am an organized person, but it just stressed me out. So then I was like, Nylon, that's where I want to be. And that was great. And then I also interned at Refinery 29. That was really, really cool as well. Refinery 29 was a site that I loved, and it kind of turned into, right as I was about to graduate, it turned, because I should say this, Gallatin, if you do go to NYU, is really great about rewarding, what's it called? Not points. What is it called? Like, instead of paying you when internships, like, they weren't allowed to pay you, but you got credits. You got school credits for your internships. And Gallatin was great with that. They allowed you to dedicate so many credits to internships. And they really, really supported you in, like, what do you want to do? And how can, like, these internship programs support your eventual career? So I'm very glad I went into Gallatin for that reason. And this is just a copy of that. I don't know why my mom included that. And I mean, great scrapbooking. She did an incredible job. But this is literally just like we will give you this many credits for interning at Refinery 29. It's like just like paperwork, but cool. And I wrote some really cool articles. I learned so much more about fashion writing at Refinery. And when it was time to graduate, I really wanted to work at Refinery. What ended up happening is that I started to be like a contributing writer. So I would pitch stories on a case-by-case basis. And I was like, I really want this to be full-time. There wasn't an open full-time position. So I started applying elsewhere. The day I graduated NYU, Gallatin, I got a call from Pop Sugar. I had applied to them. The interview process was probably like a month long. I had to take a very extensive edit test, and I got the job. And that led to 2 weeks of training in San Francisco, where the Pop Sugar headquarters was at the time. I am like forever grateful to Mandy Harris and Lisa Sugar, who decided to hire me. And then I also met with Nancy Einhart, who I still work with to this day. And they are just such cool people, and they really supported me in my writing career. I was the editorial assistant for the fashion team then. And I just kind of like rose in the ranks from there. Our team like shifted throughout the years. My mom included a picture of me sitting next to Victoria Justice at a runway show. That was probably like my first runway show. And then I like went on to write, not just fashion features, but now I write other features. I write about my life. And then the most hilarious part of this entire scrapbook is that at the very end, my mom put next page, my first book, which still has yet to happen. Like, instead of focusing on the book thing, because I did try it for a little while, I decided to launch Dinner for Shoes with Megan. So that's where we're at right now. And Mom, I don't know what you're going to do with this page, but I hope it involves this Dinner for Shoes sign. Also, it's not a page. It's just the back of a book. And finally, I should say that this book attracts cat hair like nothing else. The fabric of this book is just on another level of cat hair. Yeah, it's insane. But I love it. I look at it all the time. And I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions about my career or my experience at any of course, things change. Media changes so quickly. But if you have any questions about my experience, one of my favorite things to do is like people will reach out to me on LinkedIn or via email sometimes and ask me if I can just like jump on the phone so they can ask me questions. Yes. Like, please comment on this YouTube video, reach out to me via email, via the Dinner for Shoes email, and we will talk about it. But that was kind of my journey, and I am still at PS. I should have said that. To this day, I am the Associate Director of Commerce over there, but I also do a lot on social. I need a bite before we get into shoe therapy, okay? Okay. You guys ready for shoe therapy? Now. Oh, big bite. Last night, I summarized shoe therapy a little bit better. Shoe therapy is our hotline. You can call us at 917-336-2057. I will memorize that number, I promise. Here's how I describe it. Whether you're in need of outfit advice or in the midst of a style dilemma, the shoe therapy hotline is open for your anonymous voicemails. Important to note, when you call the hotline, I'm not going to pick up. You're just going to leave a message. You'll hear a voicemail from me. You leave a message with your style conundrum, whatever it is. Call 917-336-2057 with fashion events and funny stories so I can heal ya. You may just hear your message on the podcast. Now, our first message was left, so I do want to address it. And then this is the way that you will now know how shoe therapy works, so you can understand what will happen when you do go ahead and give me a call. And again, it can be about anything. Like, while I obviously would love for it to be a fashion question, so I can kind of like answer in the way I'm about to answer Haley's call, it can be about anything. Like, I love to shoot the shit, as we discussed. So I'm going to play you Haley's message, and then I will offer a response. I'm going to eat while I'm playing it. Hi, welcome to the Dinner for Shoes Shoe Therapy Hotline, where you can leave a message seeking shopping advice or my feedback on outfit dilemmas, or share a funny story that relates to something you saw on the podcast or something you didn't see on the podcast. Your message just might make it into the next episode. Bye.
Hi, Sarah. I need some fashion therapy because my favorite pants are turning me into a walking, shedding flamingo. Yep, a pink flamingo. So here's the deal. I have this incredible pair of jeans with pink feather trim at the bottom. They're fabulous and just the right amount of over the top. I feel like a fashion icon every time I wear them, but there's the catch. So every time I step out in these pants, it's like I'm molting. The feathers just fly off everywhere. Last week, I wore them to the cutest little bistro, thinking I would have like a chic brunch moment, which I did. But by the time I left, the restaurant looked like the aftermath of a flamingo parade. Feathers were in people's coffee, on the floor, and even in the waiter's hair. I tried to play it cool, like, oh my gosh, how whimsical. But he was over there sweeping feathers up aggressively, so I didn't think he was very amused. Anyways, I'm torn. I love these pants. They're so cute. I'm starting to think I need a feather containment strategy or maybe a personal vacuum. What should I do? Is there any way to rock feathers without leaving a trail of destruction? Or am I destined to shed my way through life? Anyways, please help.
Okay, so that message came from Haley, and I should say that you don't have to leave your name or any of that information, but you can also share pictures, especially if it's like you're asking me about a specific garment or outfit or whatever it is. And Haley sent in some pictures of her jeans, so we got to see what they look like. They're so cute. They have pink feathers at the trim. Really stylish. I like how she wears them with the closed toe booty. Not that she's asking for styling advice, but I give her an A+ for that. I probably would wear them with a booty as well. Or like a really cool pink heel, maybe like a sandal, like in the summer. But regardless, I have some feedback for Haley. And I will say that, like, I would love it if when you do call in, you do shoot me an email to dinnerforshoes@gmail.com. Share your name if you want. Don't worry about it. If you can even share it during the voicemail, but also share some pictures. Now, what I'm going to say to Haley is that with my little help of ChatGPT, which Megan and I refer to as Chatty, we just call him Chatty because we ask him things from time to time. He says, and I believe him after doing my own research, do not use hot glue, super glue, or regular fabric glue if you do want to gather those feathers and put them back on the trim of your pants. Don't do that. The reason why is because that type of glue can stiffen the fabric, especially if the denim is very heavy, and then the feathers will just fall off even quicker because the fabric will like break or crack. It will not be machine washable, okay? So that is the first thing. If you do want to put them back on. I came up with a different idea. What I would do personally, while I do love feathers, and I will say, like, you can buy feathers on Amazon. You can buy alternative trims on Amazon. And what I wanted to do was, oh, and this is also important too about the feathers. If you want to keep the pink feathers and you have them and you've gathered enough of them out of the waiter's hair, mouth, whatever, you can sew a stitch to secure the feathers even further. And you can use this specific glue I had a fried chicken burp. That is just $16 and can be washed if you do decide to wash them, but you really should hand wash them after doing this treatment to glue the feathers back on. And then you can do a little stitch to sew them back. And then, if you want to be even more secure, you can create a sealant using clear nail polish. Now, I personally probably wouldn't wash those jeans very often if I had them, so the nail polish thing would work for me. But what I wanted to show was some inspiration for other trending styles that are happening right now in case Haley wanted to take off the feathers or just simply cut the feathers off, which is totally doable, and create a more on-trend for 2025 look. I found this little strip of pearls from Amazon, which I really like. It's like on a ribbon. You can also take like a velvet strip of any color and put that as the trim. There's also crystals that I found on Amazon that are literally $6. Crystals are so in right now, and I wanted to show some examples of what I'm inspired by. I also love bows. If you want to stitch bows all over these jeans, that's really cool. It's very now, it's very in. These jeans from Anthropologie are the perfect example. I think that that's really cool. Also statement making, bold, confident, you're going to get compliments. And then I also wanted to show these Alice and Olivia jeans from Revolve. They have the little crystal trim at the ankle. I think that's really cool. And you could do that with the Amazon kit that I will link to in the description. And then finally, the Reformation Carry. The Reformation Carry is like my favorite jean of the moment. It's very, besides these Hollister ones, it's very cool. I really like the shape of it. And they have crystals all up and down, like the sides, the thighs, and of course the trim. So that's my inspiration for if you did want to shake things up. I do love the pink feathers, but I also think maybe the fact that they're flying away means they've had their time in the sun. And why not get creative with it, you know? So that's my advice for Haley. Of course, you could also buy a new pair. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that segment of Shoe Therapy. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll call in. Give us a call if you have any fashion questions. I will answer them in the next episode. I hope you learned so much about my fashion career today, about what it's like to learn at FIT and how Amy does incredible work. Hopefully one of these fashion schools is right for you, or pathways. And yeah, like I said, message me if you have any questions about my career or my cute cats. Okay, love you. Bye.